Imagine a place where 80% of the animals can't be found anywhere else on the planet. Welcome to Australia, where kangaroos, koalas, and platypuses roam freely, and every step could lead to an encounter with a creature you've never seen before. Let's take a tour across some of Australia's most breathtaking scenery, beginning with the well-known outback. Imagine a broad swathe of crimson earth that stretches in all directions. This is no ordinary desert, rather it's a distinct ecosystem brimming with life that has adapted to harsh circumstances. The outback is one of the world's largest desert regions, accounting up around 70% of the continent. Rusting iron oxide that has been exposed to the elements for millions of years gives the red sands of the outback their unique hue. But don't let its desolate exterior deceive you. A surprisingly wide range of plants and animals that have developed creative means of survival can be found in this hostile environment. Life manages to survive in this harsh environment, from the resilient spinifex grass to the water-conserving kangaroo. Let's now turn our attention to the Great Barrier Reef, another one of Australia's natural wonders. This living work of art stretches over 2,300 kilometers along Australia's northeast coast, making it visible from orbit. Not only is it enormous, but it's also the biggest coral reef system in the world, supporting thousands of different marine species. Not only is the Great Barrier Reef a breathtaking sight, but it is also an essential component of the planet's ecosystem. Numerous species find home there, and it also promotes tourism and fishing, as well as helping to shield coastlines from erosion and storms. However, pollution and climate change pose a threat to this natural treasure, making conservation efforts more crucial than ever. The landscapes of Australia are immensely varied, offering far more than just reefs and deserts. Lush jungles brimming with unusual plant and animal species, some of which date back to the prehistoric era, can be found there. For instance, it is estimated that the ancient Daintree rainforest in Queensland is more than 180 million years old. And then there are the immaculate beaches of Australia, with their golden dunes and glistening oceans. These beaches, which range from Western Australia's secluded and unspoiled coastline to Sydney's well-known Bondi Beach, are more than simply tourist destinations. They represent an essential component of Australian culture. Here's something about Australia's landscapes though that might surprise you. The only continent without an active volcano is Australia, despite having a varied topography and geological features. Over 4,000 years have passed since the last recorded volcanic eruption on the Australian mainland. Even while Australia doesn't have any volcanoes, it does have the longest fence in the world. The Dingo Fence extends 5,600 kilometers from the coast of South Australia to eastern Queensland. Designed to guard sheep flocks and keep dingoes out of the fertile southeast of the continent, this enormous fortification was constructed in the 1880s. With their strong hind legs and characteristic hopping gait, kangaroos are among the most identifiable animals from Australia. These marsupials range in size from the diminutive wallabies to the massive red kangaroos, which can reach heights over 2 meters. Despite being mislabeled as koala bears, koalas are essentially marsupials as well. These eucalyptus-eating critters sleep in trees for most of the day in order to preserve energy for their particular diet. And then there's the platypus, an animal so strange that early observations by European scientists had believed it to be a sophisticated fraud. This egg-laying mammal resembles something from a fantasy book, with a beaver-like tail, a duck-like bill, and poisonous spurs on its hind feet. It is nonetheless authentically Australian. But how distinctive is the biodiversity of Australia? You might be surprised by the response. Approximately 80% of the animals that inhabit Australia are unique to our planet. This startling figure demonstrates how Australia's long geographic isolation has allowed its fauna to evolve in ways that are unique to its region. Consider the echidna, another animal that lays eggs and is a member of the monotreme group that also includes the platypus. Or take the Tasmanian devil, which is renowned for its terrifying scream and strong jaws. It is the largest carnivorous mammal in the world. These creatures have no close relatives outside of Australia, nor do countless other animals. The biodiversity of Australia is not limited to its terrestrial inhabitants. As we mentioned before, the Great Barrier Reef is home to a staggering variety of aquatic species. The waters surrounding Australia are teeming with fauna that cannot be found anywhere else. From the clownfish made famous by Finding Nemo to the compassionate dugongs, sea cows, and the enormous whale sharks. But this distinctiveness also increases the vulnerability of Australia's fauna. Threats to many species include invasive predators, habitat loss, and climate change. This susceptibility was brought to light by the deadly 2019-2020 bushfires, which may have killed or displaced around 3 billion animals according to estimates. Australia has increased its conservation efforts in response to these difficulties. Promising outcomes are being seen in programs aimed at safeguarding threatened species, such as the northern hairy-nosed wombat and the Tasmanian devil. For example, captive breeding initiatives have contributed to the growth of Tasmanian devil numbers, providing a glimmer of hope for this unique species. There are also significant conservation efforts centered on the Great Barrier Reef. The Australian and Queensland governments collaborated to create the Reef 2050 long-term sustainability plan, which aims to increase the resilience and health of the reef. To preserve this natural wonder, this entails controlling coastal development, cutting pollution, and cooperating with traditional owners. Australia's dedication to environmental preservation extends beyond the safeguarding of specific species. Over millions of hectares of land and sea, the government has created a network of national parks and marine protected zones. Australia's distinctive ecosystems are preserved for future generations by these protected areas, which act as sanctuaries for them. Welcome to Australia's cultural treasures, where time-honored customs coexist peacefully with cutting-edge advancements. Commence our tour with Australia's indigenous civilizations, whose history dates back an astounding 65,000 years. As a result, they are among the oldest continuously existing cultures on Earth, with a diverse range of languages, traditions, and spiritual practices that have persisted through the decades. The art, music, and storytelling of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples are deeply rooted in their relationship to the land. Their Dreamtime legends offer counsel on living in harmony with nature, as well as an explanation of how the world was created. We can learn a lot about sustainability and environmental stewardship from these ancient societies. As we move from ancient wisdom to contemporary Australian culture, we may observe how the Aussie way of life has been shaped. Australians are renowned for their strong sense of community and love of the great outdoors. The prevalence of beach culture, backyard cookouts, and local athletic events is evidence of this. A lifestyle that values spending time in nature and with friends and family has been formed by the climate and the open spaces of Australia. In relation to sports, let's discuss Australian rules football, or AFL, a phenomenon that is exclusive to Australia. Originating in Melbourne in the 1850s, this sport has been ingrained in the culture of many Australians. For many Australians, the AFL is a way of life, with its intense fan support, high-scoring games, and fast-paced action. One of Australia's most important sporting events is the AFL Grand Final, which is hosted at the Melbourne Cricket Ground every year. Up to 100,000 people can be seen in the audience, while millions more watch on television. Fans wearing team colors, chanting club hits, and supporting their favorite players create an electrifying atmosphere. But there's more to Australia's cultural landscape than just sports. The nation has one of the most active art scenes in the world. Consider the Melbourne International Comedy Festival as an example. Renowned comedians from Australia and elsewhere flock to one of the biggest comedy festivals in the world, which takes place every year. Melbourne transforms into Australia's comedy capital for almost a month, with hundreds of performances at locations all across the city. Australia's flourishing creative industry are exemplified by events like this festival. Australia excels in the international arts sector, offering everything from cutting-edge theater plays and music festivals to top-notch museums and galleries. Let's now discuss a topic that is dear to the hearts of all Australians: food. The gastronomic landscape of Australia is as varied as its people. Australian cuisine has developed into a distinctive blend of flavors and cooking methods due to waves of immigration from Europe, Asia, and other regions. Everything from classic meat pies and fish and chips to exquisite sushi and real Lebanese kebabs may be found. However, Australia is known for its wine regions as well as its cuisine. Among the regions known for their exceptional wine production are the Hunter Valley in New South Wales, the Margaret River in Western Australia, and the Barossa Valley in South Australia. Australian wines are exported all over the world and have received praise from critics worldwide, especially for their Shiraz and Chardonnay.